Meeting. Beautiful. All right, welcome everyone to our April 6th Technology Advisory Committee meeting. I can't believe it's April. At least there's no snow like it was, just been crazy. But anyway, don't say that. Don't say, no, don't go there. All right, meeting minutes from last time. Joe was so kind enough to run the meeting for me. Any updates or changes to the meeting minutes from the March session? All good? All right, then they stand approved. And it was good update for me. Okay, we just have a few things. I'm not sure how, unless we get into long discussions. As far as tonight goes, the first one is the voice over IP phone update. We did meet with both Third Generation as well as American Telecom over the past week and have had updated proposals from them. By the time, what was interesting to me about it, and from discussions with Andy, the difference from a technology perspective is they're basically using the same platform. However, Third Generation has a previous version of it. So American Telecoms is the newer version of the platform or software, whatever is behind the scenes. The other point that I wanted to just highlight is they both got the same request for proposal. That both we sent out the exact same information, and American Telecom did a really nice job when we met with them, going through what their solution was, answering questions.
I'm just who met with them?
It was me, and it was Bob, Andy, Melinda.
Yeah, so I'm a little concerned. Question how we can put any input in if we weren't the ones, if we didn't even know this meeting happened. I mean, we had proposed, last we heard there were proposals, and now I'm hearing there were meetings with Marcy in it and none of the rest of the committee. I mean, we are a committee, so
Right.
I think it's unfair to ask us to give input based on something that we're sitting here. None of the rest of us have any of this.
Do you have? Did they have? Did you guys get copies of the proposals?
The revisions?
The only revision that we got was from Third Generation. Did you send them
They were in the SharePoint.
the SharePoint?
The SharePoint isn't showing it. Because I'm looking right now. Let me look.
What do they have? See what I can get into.
There was a summary put in 3 hours ago, but the actual proposals were all last modified February 25th.
Yeah, the updated proposal I did not put in.
That's just really all it was. Or what they did is they had what changed is if when you compared the proposals, Third Generation did not include a price for leasing the phones, which is what American Telecom and the others did. They also did not include prices for functionality that we had requested, such as fax, voicemail transcription, as well as audio conferencing. So they added those in there. They also gave us phones. The original phones that were in there had no Bluetooth capability, nor Wi-Fi capability. They were all hardwired phones. So that was the other thing we changed on that. So that was an increase in their cost from the previous proposal, which I thought was interesting. So was the change in theirs. I would say if the rest of the team hasn't had a chance to review the updated one, then we should make sure we can send it out if we're still having trouble with the SharePoint. But that's what, and I just printed off the summary. So if anybody wants to see what it is, it was changing the phones, adding in the lease payments, as well as adding in the functionality of the that they had missed when they did the original charge. Now, when I compare the two, and if we assume with American Telecom, we basically had 23 regular users and 20 what I would call power users, if that's an appropriate term, that had all the functionality of the integration with Exchange, mobile access, conference, and fax that would go right in with your with Outlook. If we add, even assume that we just have 10 of them for the American Telecom, and I add 10 for transcription, I add 10 for, I actually did 20 for screen, we could take it down to 10, did 10 for fax and 10 for audio conferencing, so you'd have 10 folks would have a chance to have their own audio conferencing, then their monthly price is just about the same. $12.40 versus $12.28.
Mark, this is Lamar. I had a question about the fax feature. I
Yeah,
thought we were moving away from fax. Is that an extra charge or a charge that we could get taken off to reduce the price?
with American Telecom, it is bundled as part of their premium users. With we can't get, and with third generation, it is not. It is a separate chargeable function. And I don't think from the discussion that we've had and just with how the town operates, I don't believe we can fully get away from faxing. You're still going to have to be faxing some documents back and forth. But what the point would be is if you can just take a document and you don't have to get up and then go to the copier and then fax it that way. I don't believe that with the way the town operates, and Bob, you'd have to correct me if I'm wrong, but we can't get totally away from faxing.
Not completely.
There's maybe 10 folks who would need to be able to fax.
Okay, so from a pricing standpoint, you said they're around equivalent?
Yeah. From a
Well,
month, well, hold
I-
on.
Well, you're saying they're equivalent, but I'm looking at the spreadsheet and it's $12,000 difference, and you're just throwing things on to make it equal American Telecom.
No, I'm trying to do an apples to apples. I mean, that's fine. You guys can do it.
I get it, but see, I'm upset. I'm here, I'm spending my time. There's a whole different thing and it's made up numbers by what you've decided versus the proposal.
I don't think anybody's decided anything.
Well, I mean, according to what's in there, it says there's a proposal for $35,603 for a 3-year contract with third gen. And there is a $47,000, 875 American Telecom for 3 years.
And that's the,
So we're talking about spending an extra 12 grand based on what's there now. I get it. You're changing things, doing things, but that's where I'm struggling with it, because right out of the gate, there's a $35,000 proposal and a $47,000 proposal.
no, I understand.
Based on the original
Right.
submissions, you're completely accurate. When we met, and let me start by saying, I'm more than willing to schedule another
Yeah.
session to let you guys hear both proposals.
Absolutely.
I have no problem with it, because for me, it's a flip of a coin. Because I think they're both going to take us way beyond where we're at. So it doesn't matter to me, and I will set something up for anybody. And we weren't trying to slight anybody.
No, I
we were
just-
trying to keep it moving.
I mean, we're having a discussion about that basically everybody doesn't
Well,
have access to it before we're talking about it.
again, you're right. We're trying to find a way because the proposals weren't comparable.
Mm-hmm.
We find out the proposals weren't comparable. We try to find a way to make them comparable as best we can. And that creates a moving target that,
Right, and the updated proposal came in today. So,
Okay,
you're right, yep,
it's-
so we can set up, if we set up another set of meetings with the two of them,
I mean, I think,
Who would it? who
I think
would-
a good start seeing the updated proposal and then seeing the additions that are making it come out to be the same price would be a good start. And then to Lamar's point, you know, if they're charging you, if the premium bundle with American Telecom has faxing in it for every single person or 20 people, the question becomes like, well, how much does that actually cost?
Yeah, the faxing, the difference between, if you look at the American Telecom proposal, the difference between their standard user and the premium user is $3 a month per user.
So they're basically charged, what else do you get for $3?
It says it's got the Outlook communicator with Exchange integration, the mobile access, the conference calling and faxing. Is what it has.
And as for the faxing, is there not an opportunity to scan and send them
A lot of it was to scan and fax it directly from your email, kind of like you do with the Microsoft printer, you know, print to fax. That's what that was. You know, and we can, you know, if we don't need as much of that, that we could trim a couple bucks,
We just
that's
sent them-
fine.
Well, okay,
sent
a lot of the faxing options are like you pay $10 or $20 for the fax line,
Mhm.
and then you get 10 or 20 users that can email into it, you know, email to fax. So, you know, that does everybody, do 20 people or 30 people or 40 people need the ability to get a fax on their own
Probably
phone
10,
number?
probably 10.
How many fax lines are there now?
We only have the one, and that, I mean, so it, well, two, there's. 'Cause you're looking at, well, please,
Police have one and you have one up here,
Yeah.
and 3,
Yeah.
Public Works has one too.
the police will need continued fax because county court system still
Right.
insists on.
Yeah, that system that they have still faxes some of the stuff.
Using 1980s technology. So,
All right.
Better than the IRS's 1960s.
This is
technology.
true.
Yeah.
This is true. But in any case, I mean, I think it's going to be clear that we're down to those two.
Okay,
I mean, and for me,
yeah, I
just the one thing I'll say is this. When I don't look at the numbers, the finance side of it, the presentation that we saw, I just felt that at least American was more prepared and showed us what we were looking to show us. We didn't get a good sense of the capability, if it's there. I didn't
Mhm.
get a good sense of the capability from third generation.
Mhm. Same.
And that it was disappointing because you convey, or you start to say, if they're not selling us on the product, when they have that opportunity, what's it gonna be like? when we're working?
It sounds like it's a little fragmented, that the cost seems to be low, but it's missing additional costs.
Well, and that's what we're trying to get to, Kathy, is the
Yeah.
fact that we're having to pull additional information out of them to get the number to where it was matching the request for
Mhm.
proposal. And it's just, I'm always concerned when I have to fight for just getting the information. Of course, I'll tell you, this is the age we're in, I guess. But that's a concern for me right now. is I just want to make sure that we're comparing the right thing. You know, it's something other than the flip of a coin.
And
Again,
I guess my concern is that you've basically taken an $800 and some quote and making it $1,200. And that's where I'm like, really, it's a 50% uplift from where it is.
Yeah, well, it isn't. So it's, you know, when you look at the new one, if you add in the phones, right? So, because again, to do, this was the
Mhm.
leased phones, it's $1,000, $1,008.
Mhm.
And then adding in some functionality. What I did was, and I'll put it out in an email so you guys all have it, is these again, was just some rough calculations as I was doing as we were sitting down here. If we had, say, what did I do? 20 people who wanted voicemail transcription. I don't know, maybe we don't, you know, but that was at $3, you know, per person. Said maybe 10 people on the fax and 10 on the audio conferencing. That's what took it up. Again, this is just my script, you know, scritching on.
So
to
the
try
audio
and-
conferencing, how many people have Zoom licenses?
we have 2 Zoom licenses here, which is sufficient for what we do. Well, I should say 95% of the time it's sufficient, but occasionally. But then
No, I just
we
want-
can utilize Teams too.
I know places that try to add the conferencing in and they all have a Zoom license and it's like,
You don't.
you have audio conferencing
Right.
already. So I want to make sure that wasn't
Yeah.
part of
Mhm.
it too.
So that's really just kind of what we were chit chatting about. Was coming in again, a way to try and make it apples to apples. If the decision is we don't need to add any conferencing, if we don't need to add, then third generation is $200 a month cheaper.
There is something to be said for service and responsiveness too.
Mhm.
And the other difference is that American Telecom was charging us for some of the on-site installation. Third generation is not.
And that really becomes the difference
Right.
in the quote.
Mhm. Now that we have similar phones.
Did anybody ask about servicing?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we did, and, you know, the funny thing is, I think Joe's experience with third generation is just as positive, I think, as Andy's is with American
Telecom.
Telecom. So
Well, and to me, they're both on the same platform. They're both Metaswitch. They're both, you know, yeah, third gen might be a little bit behind, but that's also probably just the timing. I mean, literally, American Telecom could have put the update on 2 weeks ago and, oh, they're in front, but it's just the cadence
just by,
of,
just by,
right.
Mhm.
from a timing standpoint, and the fact that we have equipment that is completely outdated, I
Mm.
get.
Right.
Everything is completely updated from our perspective because
But can I go back to the question? And I don't think you answered it, and that was, what did they say about their servicing?
they both said about the same thing, Kathy. I mean, their service, their the response time, everything is really apples to apples on that side of things. The only real difference that I see, and I don't think it really matters in this day and age, is that American Telecom works out of Glenshaw area and third generations in Bridgeville, but I don't think, you know, that matters much for this.
Most of what they can do as far as service, you can do remotely.
Yeah, it's not the same
It's-
as the old phone system where they had to come in and do something.
Right.
So,
Once you get it all set up, there's a lot they can do remotely.
and it's a bonus they're both here
Right.
because it's not
Yeah,
the Connectel, Nextiva, Alpha Scanlon one.
Yeah.
You're calling a 1-800 number somewhere to get support on
They-
that.
the only real service related thing that concerned me was when we asked about redundancy and things, it's such American could tell us much more specifically about the redundancy,
Right.
where the different sites were, how that worked, and third generation was much less specific. They have it, but they couldn't describe or tell us a lot about it.
And the same with how, each, is it an individual instance in a cloud? How protected are they? Is it one big shared infrastructure? Is it, so American Telecom was pretty adamant that this is there, you've got your own instance, firewalled around it, nobody, and third generation, whether they don't know or it's not a big, it was just different.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see more about that, because that wouldn't, like, your own instance wouldn't be typical how any of these do it.
Yeah, well, that's,
I mean, you have your own accounts
right, but
in a separate instance, but there may be other.
I think that the thing that made me go, with third generation was that they couldn't give us as much of a specific as American Telecom could in some of those, with some of those
Mhm.
more detailed questions.
so. Okay. Then next steps, obviously, is we update, everybody gets a chance to take a look at the two proposals. I'll send the note off, just kind of, once, what I was kind of looking to just do to see where I got the additional $200. And then it's a question of whether or not we need that functionality. If we don't need it, then it's third generation. If it's something that we think that we might want, then, American Telecom looks to be a little more seamless or an integrated system, at least from a pricing perspective, and it's got a bit more functionality. But third generation has leaps and bounds more functionality than we have today.
And did we talk to any of the employees to get any of their input on that? Other than Andy? People who will be using this?
Yeah, Melinda sat in on all of them. And we've, so she's as strong a user as anybody.
But I mean, if
Yeah.
we were to talk to some of the people, they could tell us whether they need those functionalities or not.
Understood.
Mhm.
Well, 'cause
Maybe a
we're-
select group of power users, you could just do a quick poll with them, close it in a day or two and see what's up.
Very good.
Okay,
All right, anything else? And we are paying how much per month today?
Well, when you factor in the service that we pay, we're currently paying a little over 1,100 a month
Okay,
between consolidated and the service that we receive from Alpha.
okay.
Just the service contract, or does that include repairs? and-
It
A little
includes
bit of everything.
repairs, it's a pay as you go situation now with Alpha. So what I did is I went back, I had Angie pull the bills that we paid in the last 24 months and averaged that 24 months worth of expense over as a monthly cost. Which, because in looking at the bills, they all were fairly routine type things that we would be looking to them to do moving on. So,
Okay. Well, then, Bob, you want to do, can you, between the two, you do a quick poll, an internal poll to see, at least with the power users?
and, if the group wants a demo, we can arrange that.
So let me take a poll. Who would like to sit back down with American Telecom and or third generation? Joe,
I mean, if I'm gonna make an opinion on it.
It's gonna be doing the business day, it'd be a challenge for me to do it. I don't know, 'cause it's something that
Okay.
I can't live up to,
Because
so.
we could also include some of the power users. of
Yeah,
the poll.
absolutely, absolutely.
I think that would be a good idea.
Lamar, and Greg, what do you guys, are you interested in sitting in?
If I'm available, sure.
Yeah, according to availability, but they're between two vendors. It's not gonna be a big swing.
So we'll schedule that and let you know.
Okay, good. Anything else on the phones? Okay, doke. All right, moving on then to the website update. We have been doing some things as far as getting the survey ready to go. Mike has volunteered. He's going to help us really run the project and work with it. I know RJ from the last discussion, you probably haven't had a chance to chat with them at all, but she's got a survey about ready to go that will go out on McCandless and me. One of the things that she's requested is we want to launch it, kind of like we did launch the zoning work, and that we've done launching for the deer stuff, all just the initial, paragraph or so of, hey, this is what's happening. This is how exciting this project is, kind of why we need your input. So, Mike, if I could ask you to kind of draft
Sure.
some thoughts, and if anybody's, and then kind of circulate it around, and then we could get it back to them. So I think that's step one. Finally, let's get this survey going. So we can get some input as to what do we need to be doing next.
It's just some catch up I need to do, like, I don't know who Sandra and John are.
John is communications lead, and
Yeah.
he's back. Is he back
Yeah.
full time now?
Well, he's full-time from work, as far as working, he'll be full-time in the office after Easter.
After Easter, okay. And that's been part of the delay, is with what RJ's got, with everybody's got stuff going on. And he'd been on paternity leave, so which is great,
Yes.
I know who RJ is and Sandra.
Sandra is my executive assistant.
Okay.
She also works with John on communication and engagement efforts.
And then once we get that launched and start getting some feedback back in, we are going to be doing focus groups. If any have asking for volunteers on focus group.
And I'm just, I guess I'm struggling still with it. It's a municipality website. We're not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of like things are like, how far do you go with it?
Well,
before it's,
and to be honest with you, some of the delay in the survey has been
Mhm.
exactly what you just conveyed, Joe. It was like, okay, what are we trying to get to?
Mhm.
And, I think, and I don't know how to attack this or how to make it work, but, the things that I'm mostly concerned of are, the ease of use, and I was trying to think of it in terms of saying, almost do a scavenger hunt type question on the survey to say, how many clicks did it take you to find, without using the search bar
Mhm.
or the search function, how many clicks did it take you to find this? To find that? I mean, today I was looking, because we're launching an RFP for pension services.
37,
Tomorrow.
it probably takes 37 clicks on the current website.
Well, I was trying to find the page that I needed to refer to John to say, post this ad here, because I wanted to sound like I knew what I was talking about. And it's like, okay, where do I have to go? And I finally found it, but I think it was about 5 clicks
Yeah.
before I found the right thing. And, those are the types of things that I'm wondering about, like, and the other thought that crossed my mind was if we find 5 sites that we like the looks of, it's like, which of these do you like? And, maybe there's an open-ended question, why? Why do you like the looks? Maybe I like the colors that they used or something, but those are the kinds of things that I think will be helpful, because we did come to the conclusion that we wouldn't be asking any questions that we actually where the possibility was that we would get a negative answer to something we already wanted to do on the
Right.
website. We're not going to ask, do you want to have the ability to rent a pavilion or to have a building permit application or something like that? Because we want to put that stuff on there to begin with. And we didn't want to turn around and have somebody say, the majority of people like, no, I don't need it. So we're not going to ask the question. So we got that far with what we were doing, but those are some of the thoughts that I've had.
And there are some features that you do want to, wasn't payment.
Well, payment ability and, a much better means of inquiries, complaint, request modules for service, something like that.
When you solicit for focus groups like this in the past, did you typically get people that jump on it and say, yeah, or does it go?
I don't know that they've ever done it. I'll be honest with you. And, one of the things that came out, I just was at a meeting with the school district last week, and they used a series of focus groups to update their website. And they had good results in their minds.
Semi-good. Navigating it myself, it's a semi-good update, because there are some things that make, I think, less sense when they move them, because it makes it harder to find it, but.
Well, I've seen website updates that have been worse than before, so.
Oh, yeah.
any
Oh,
improvement is-
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
not
I-
necessarily- Yeah,
I can tell you with certainty that I don't want anyone thinking about the state of Pennsylvania websites or the Allegheny County
Oh my
websites or
gosh.
anything like that. And I realize bigger organizations, harder
right.
to make it work, but
Yeah.
it's not the direction we want to go.
Well, I just wonder if parents are more engaged with the school district than residents might be.
Well, and this,
We'll find out.
well, and that's part of
And if
why I thought,
nobody responds, then.
we're trying to do more community engagement. And I just was thinking this would be a good opportunity to do some more community engagement
I
and
think it's a
start.
great idea.
So
Mhm.
I'm hopeful that we get
I'd love to be inundated, but
600. We get 6 people,
Yeah.
I'd be pleased.
Yeah, I'm with you
Well,
on that.
I mean, Craig did that focus group in his neighborhood and got some good information.
And that's something, if we're not getting a lot out of McCandless and me, then maybe we all each do a little focus group with our communities
Or
and
just
ask questions.
Ask Craig to do.
We already have Craig's.
Craig, move to a new neighborhood and get those new neighbors.
Yeah,
I'll get right on that.
yeah.
I would suggest that we look at several school districts, because most of them have categories, and then under each category, they have a menu. So it's easy to navigate. Once you get into the category, you just go down, and in the menu, you just find out what it is that you want. So,
Yeah. And
it makes it very easy to navigate that way. Otherwise, they get lost all over the place trying to find where they want to be.
Right.
Well, the interesting thing about that is I think it's very similar in that a lot of the websites are Blackboard or Tyler.
Right.
And that, in the school, in the municipalities, they're almost all Civic
Civic
Plus
Plus.
because they keep buying everybody that
Yeah.
even vaguely starts to compete with them.
Interestingly enough, not that I'm promoting that we do it this way, Mount Lebanon is leaving Civic Plus and just utilizing WordPress and doing an update on their own.
They have an IT staff.
Yes. And
If you can
Much-
afford to have somebody to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was asking, but yeah.
Yeah, that, you'll see a request for 5 more people Monday night, Kathy, so that we can do that.
Regardless of the choice, I think, Bob, you started this by talking about how it took at least 5 clicks to find what you knew was already there. But I think the fact that you knew that it was there kept you going past 2 or 3 clicks.
Yeah.
I think the majority of things say if you're looking for where the mulch is, you're going to look you're going to hit the search box pretty hard. But if you take that away, you're going to get a lot more traffic if you can get it under 3 clicks or so, right up front than you would any other way. So maybe focus groups, not crazy, but a focus group or 2 with some power users on there that are not power users, with grandma what's a mouse would do you a lot of good once we select who's going to make it.
Yeah,
Just my 2 cents.
no, I agree completely, because I purposely used the clicks today to count where I was going. But most times, because I'm in a hurry, I just do the search and I'm done.
Mhm.
And to this day, I can't find the home rule charter on the website without doing a search.
Yeah.
It would take me less time to walk across my office, grab the charter off the bookcase and come back and start looking. But every now and then I feel lazy and I want to just do it from
From your chair.
my chair.
Yeah.
But that,
At least the search box the search box works well.
yes,
Lamar, I think you make a good point. I think that anybody that knows the website, you get blind to it because you're more of an expert of the content. It's the people who are going once a year to look for something. And it's hard. It's easier for those people to identify where the traps are than
Yeah.
people who know, I know if I go to this menu, I can find generally what I'm looking for. That's hard to do. Do the focus groups, is that something you envision that being a Zoom meeting? Is it synchronous feedback, asynchronous feedback?
Whatever you'd like to do, whatever.
Okay, well, I didn't know if you had a vision. in mind.
no,
I don't have. a
no,
vision.
no. I mean, I don't think our vision has gone beyond essentially the word focus group. That might be a way to get additional feedback or more specific feedback beyond what we would gain from the McCandless and me survey.
Right. Well, and then it's. go
I'm
ahead,
not
Jeff.
sure the charter's anywhere but an upload. I'm not sure you can actually find it other than, because now that you said that, I was looking, I'm not sure you can find it any other way than search for it. So, yeah,
It's just the core document of the town. It's nothing.
Minor
important.
detail. Yeah, it's not, it's just a little piece of information. Not that, yeah, people might want to know what it is. Or be
Under
able to
It's
government.
find
after
it.
the
it's
incorporation.
under government somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that
but there's
much.
a number of tabs under government. There's a number of things. I've been.
But
through
if you
some.
do the drop down, I don't think you can find it.
I don't remember ever seeing it. I'll start looking on my phone. That'd be bad. All right. Anything else? That's the current status on the website. I think if we can get the survey between now and the next month, if we can get that survey going on McCandless and Me, which would be kind of nice because then we've got 2 projects off on McCandless and Me.
RJ was working on it and then I dragged her off to
That's
get
fine.
the pension RFP on, because we threw that on to McCandless and Me too, because of the question and answer.
Okay, oh,
feature.
good. And again, part of it is trying to make sure, can we leverage that platform that we have?
Yeah.
And start getting more people involved. So,
One thought I had about this, and I'm not advocating continuing to use it because of the cost, but if that part of the platform, the McCandless and Me platform, can become an more integral part of the overall website, the more interactive part of it, then I think you start to have more use
Yes,
with it. I mean,
Yes.
that's what we're trying to do with this proposal, because we're required to have it posted on a website. And we needed a platform where we could have questions and answers posted for people. So it lent itself very well to
Right. Right.
what we're going to do with it. But, I think if there's a way to make that work, then we should explore it.
well, and that gets kind of into the next points I was gonna kind of make, is that get the survey out, which is from a community perspective. Then we still have what we had talked about with potentially an intern to help with the graphic design, but then we have the whole process yet of picking another platform that we really haven't talked about or haven't gotten going on yet. And kind of my thought might be is that we spend some time, I know we kicked around a few would have been last year sometime, some thoughts, and I will go dig those all back out again. Because I know we had a conversation about some of that, but I think it's time to now start putting some pencil to paper as to what are some of the things we want as we start looking and getting ready to put another RFP out. And what are some of our options as far as vendors?
So we want to define what we want before we do that, right?
Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to get the survey out, was that we have some ideas, but there might be some other things that start coming back from some of that would sway how we pull some of this together, was my thought. Again, I am not the expert in picking, changing website vendors.
Well, I think there's a part of me that thinks, is you're looking at the different companies that provide that type of service. Many ways you can almost pick the company almost from a price standpoint, going into the sites that you like and don't like. Pick it and then work with that company to design it the way
Mhm.
you want to. One of my pastimes is looking at other communities' websites.
Yeah, I
I
have
see
the
a
list.
name.
Yeah,
As I see a name of a community, I'll look it up.
Right.
See what it looks like. Almost immediately, if it's a Civic Plus website.
yeah, you can tell.
And the old or the new templates too.
Right,
Yes.
You can tell that pretty quickly
that's
too.
easy to tell, yeah.
So if you start to get a sense of a product you like, then we can start to
I
get
think
pricing.
there's some 3 or 4 of them that over the
We did.
past 18 months.
We've discussed.
Yeah, I'll go see if I can pull out that list again as
Okay.
well. Maybe we can start getting,
There's one in Virginia.
yeah, there's one in Virginia, there's another, but I have it. Because
Probably 3 of the other companies that were doing it were bought by
They may
Civic Plus by now
probably.
anyhow.
they may be, but this
Right.
would be a place to start looking
Mhm.
and, start on the
Yeah.
technical side of this.
Because I think we're still at the point we need a platform to work with as opposed to creating something on our own.
We don't have the staff.
We don't have the staff, and I don't, no offense to anybody here, but you need a level of creativity that we don't necessarily have either.
Yeah.
It used to be easy to update because
Mhm.
nothing
Yeah.
is worse than the stale website.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's
Yeah.
one thing, I mean, we are doing things quite a bit with it. But I guess the last point, and I know that I'm gonna sound like a broken record because I know I've said this before, but we have to have it be an inviting as easy to use as possible website to present a good first impression.
We absolutely, and we need to combine what we have with the website and Savvy Citizen and the rest is to reduce and streamline the
Yes.
costs that we have in the various products that we're leveraging out there, which we should be able to do with just about any platform.
Yeah, even the mechanics and me, you should be able to,
That's
pull- you should be able to pull that in, and that's,
And that's what,
you know,
but
if you
I.
trade the money for McCandless and me to have the right template and the right platform.
Yeah.
And get it all in one place.
Yeah, and that is, I think as long as we don't lose that functionality,
Right,
you know, being able to do something like a McCandless and me, then we can keep going.
agreed. All right, anything else then on the website? So on the website updates, you've got, we were kind of on the survey and framing out what the initial welcome would be. I will go dig out through my notes what we had had before with some of the vendors and the rest of that, just to see what we had to just refresh everybody, because I know I've got it sitting in a folder. Besides being it up on the, it's probably in SharePoint.
Let's go and look right now.
It may, if not, it will be there. Give me a day.
There's nothing in it. I was gonna say there's a folder Civic Plus alternatives, but
There's nothing in it?
No.
All right, then that's me. I'll update, or it got lost. I'll update it and I'll put it out there. Anything else on the website then? Okay, then the only reason I had the enterprise software is because Trish's, we are finally getting done with the audit and the rest of that, right, Bob?
Audit is essentially done. We're just at this point, we're just waiting for the product to be developed from the auditors. So
Okay,
I think we're ready to
can get back to it.
get back to it.
Okay. I did upload, because I know there had been discussions on Springbrook versus, and Tracer and the rest of that. I updated that little spreadsheet that I had put together, and that it should be up there, Joe. You should be able to see that. And did a cost comparison with Springbrook and Tracer instead of MyGov, since MyGov was pretty expensive. To see, so I think we've got now pretty much what all the costs are and the options.
and I heard something interesting that I guess Gateway put on. That you may not even need Tracer with it anymore, that you can do it all from Arc.
I know that they're talking.
I didn't see it apparent, and I just heard it secondhand, that Gateway did something recently. And they showed basically doing all the Tracer functions with just ArcGIS.
Really?
Yeah,
Including the GPS tracking?
not sure on the GPS tracking.
Because
but
that was one of the things, I
But
know
it-
council's very interested in that
The
GPS.
the
tracking.
exact wording was ArcGIS can replace Tracer.
Huh.
And I think that was in the last, well, you'll have.
Well, I've heard that they were, for the last couple of years, that we were going to see something. I still haven't seen it myself. And we meet with them monthly.
Okay, when do you meet? You meet with them monthly, so you got a meeting coming up this month?
As soon as tomorrow morning.
Good, would you ask them about this?
I'm sure if they have it ready, they'll be telling us, but we can certainly.
Just poke at it,
And I'm sure there's cost to it too. I'm sure it's not
right?
Well,
free, but.
Yeah, find out what the cost, yeah.
No, I mean, if there's an alternative, we'll look at it. I don't know. I've not gotten the sense from Gateway that it has the complete functionality of a
right.
Tracer. I think it will replace some of the aspects of Tracer, but I don't think it would replace the full
And
functionality.
Tracer's got the GPS functionality, right?
It has GPS functionality, but, we're also looking at updating our permitting process.
Right, all that,
Fleet maintenance,
yeah.
asset management. So I've not gotten the sense in any of my conversations that it is that robust.
Okay. Because I know the GPS tracking is something that council is very interested in.
Yes.
So we need to make sure whatever solution we have has that in it. Before the end of the year, Was Tricia, and were you guys able to talk to all the references that we were given?
Yeah. Yeah, we got feedback
get to
from all
all-
of the
We did
references.
get feedback from the references. They all seemed pretty much the same.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
nothing unique
Nothing
came out
stood
of,
out.
nothing stood out of any of those?
Everybody who
Comments.
responded had positive feedback
Well, that's good that they did.
on all companies.
Huh, well, that doesn't help us,
The-
but
No.
that's,
The
Made it
one,
more confusing.
the one interesting thing is that it appears as if Springbrook is making some type of inroad in the area
Mhm.
with other communities.
okay,
So that, and at this point, Gateway aside, we'll find out what's going on with them.
Right.
But, you know, what I said to Tricia a few weeks ago was for her to argue against using Springbrook and Tracer. in my
Okay.
mind.
and use Edmonds instead. Is it
Well,
really?
no, I'm just saying, I want, that is my thought. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Okay,
That's how I put it.
Just use just Springbrook itself.
Springbrook and
and Tracer,
Tracer.
not MyGov. MyGov's pretty expensive. So I was looking.
I
at-
think we were all impressed with MyGov, but I'm not impressed enough to spend the extra money.
So from a timing perspective, when do you want to get back at it? What do you want us to be doing with this?
I think we keep on it
Just keep
month
pushing,
after month.
just keep pushing.
Yeah, we have to at this point.
Yeah, I mean, because we're close.
Yeah.
And
we
that,
are.
that's gonna be the question, as to which package now.
Yeah.
I think we've done all the due diligence. You've got all the pricing. I've broken it down as much as I can. If anybody's got any other comments, or things you want to see differently.
Yeah, I figure I heard that Friday and I'm like, oh yeah, just right about when everything seems like it's settled, then Gateway's gonna toss that out there and you can do more with ARC than before. It'll be interesting to see what it comes from face to face with them versus something they presented somewhere.
Well, let us know.
I will.
Any other business, anything else that's come up, Bob, that we can help with?
Did we talk about body cams?
We are going to be getting council authorization Monday evening for the purchase of the body cams. We've gotten the approval from the Department of Justice on the policy. Finally, and gotten the third pricing that we needed. So we're ready to go, and I can never remember the name of the company, the same people that we're using for,
Axion, I don't remember. It's the same,
same
just as
people
long
that-
as it's the same one as the cars.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is
Yeah.
WatchGuard or something.
Okay,
WatchGuard, I
Yeah.
think that's right.
Yeah, so it's the same one. So we're familiar with the system and
I think way back when.
it'll all tie together.
Yeah, I think way back when Lamar and Michael weren't in it, I think that was one of the ones that, the one big requirement was
Yeah.
it was the same as the cars
yes,
because
has to be the same as cars.
it correlates the timestamp from the car to the body cam, so you can pull up the whole, yeah,
Mhm.
I was gonna say incident, but that was-
Process the scene better.
Yes,
Now, will the new software have anything to do with that? In other words, can we interface with the cars? Can it interface with the body cams?
Which software?
The new software we're gonna purchase for the whole,
The enterprise software?
No.
No.
No,
okay,
the finance package primarily.
matter of fact, we wouldn't be able to have it interface.
Because that's the separate, the police system is separate.
well, I was wondering about that and what we're gonna do and how we're gonna store video.
This, storage of the video will be cloud-based, if I recall.
That's what I,
I
yeah,
think the price came down enough that
Yeah,
between when it started to now, I think that was, yeah.
but all of the pricing we have includes storage
yeah.
costs, Kathy.
Okay,
I think
Any
there's some-
concerns about the storage capacity? I know we talked about that way back
Not
when.
with, not with what we spec'd out, Lamar.
Okay,
It
All right.
should store everything that we need for the time period within the policy.
when will the
Okay.
body cams be, when is that done? When do we, when will they start wearing them?
The last delivery time that we received was about 8 weeks from order. So we would be ordering next Tuesday, count out 8 weeks, probably
June.
a month after that
Yeah.
for implementation, training and implementation,
Right.
Be this summer.
mid to late summer.
Excellent.
That's here sooner than you think.
Yep.
Yes.
Just waiting for the weather to catch up.
On the budget.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Just when you get back into budget again. Anything else then, Bob?
No, not anything from a technology standpoint. At this point, I'm sure that there's something hanging out there that I'm not thinking of.
Okay.
The
Kathy?
the traffic cam thing. Is that dead?
Not dead. But I think it will be revisited, if not with budget amendment in the next year's budget.
Okay. So that got bumped to 23?
Yes.
Yeah, more than likely.
Okay.
I found it interesting that one of the newer council members sent information to the chief regarding a company that let you pay your speeding ticket online from being caught on camera.
Yeah, but we're not even thinking about that kind of.
No, we
camera.
can't.
We can't do that. I don't
Can't
can't-
really even do
I
that.
don't think we can do that in Pennsylvania.
No, we can't. So I don't know. It just made me think that he's more of a believer in cameras than other people were. So we'll see what happens.
Yep.
With all of that, but I know that it'll be revisited. I just don't know to what extent yet.
Okay, thank you.
Kathy, anything else from your perspective?
No,
All right, good. Well, if nobody else has anything. Do I hear a motion to adjourn for this evening?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, move down and we got a second. So I would say we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone. We will
Thank you.
chat in May.
thank you.
Have a good one.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Hold on a second, that's not the same.
What it-
Yeah.